All right, what's going on, everybody? This is Gabriel, the ProActivator, and I'm here with a special guest, Mr. Luke Eggebraaten. Did I get that right, brother?
You absolutely nailed it, man. It is so great to be here with you in the ProActivator studio. How we doing?
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me and really exchange ideas and really dig into your life, brother. I've met you a couple of occasions, and I really wanted to dig into you, brother, because you have, I believe, a lot to give. And with that said, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Just let us know who you are, brother.
Yeah, well, for one, I appreciate you having me on here. When we were talking in Miami a few months ago, and you told me about the show and what it is and what it's about, I couldn't have been more excited to be on here. And I get to do a lot of business podcasts and marketing podcasts and all that, and it's amazing. I love it. But the ProActivators, I just am so excited to be here. Man, so a little bit about me, just as a quick intro. So my name's Luke Eggebraaten. I started a company called Phaser Marketing about 6 years ago, October 24th, 2019. And really what we do is digital marketing for excavation companies, or what we would say is digital marketing for the dirt world. So we're very niche down, of course. We work with just under, at the time of this recording, just under 100 clients across 3 countries. Right now we're in about 38 states, 3 provinces in Canada, and then Northern Ireland. We just signed on a client there, which is awesome. At its most basic form, we're a digital marketing partner for these excavation companies. Separate from that, I host the Dirtbags podcast, and we also have a book that has launched a few years ago, The Digital Dirt World. So there's a theme with all of this. We're very niche down in construction, but I really help these businesses move forward. And separate from that, I'm married. I've been married for a little over 5 years to my beautiful wife, Olivia. We live here in sunny Arizona, but are from northern Minnesota. And so we went from the extreme cold to the extreme heat, and we absolutely love it. We don't have any kids yet, and we're living this life for Jesus and being a steward of these wonderful gifts and resources that we get to manage. So, yeah, man, feel very blessed to be here. Feel very blessed to get to talk with you, but also with your audience. And with that as well, if anyone listens to this and if anyone has questions or wants to just reach out, I'm wide open. You can find me on any social media channel, either Luke Eggebraaten or Phaser Marketing. And please reach out, because this is, at Gabriel, as you know, like this is what fuels us, right, as people. And just very, very excited to be here today.
Well, Luke, I can tell this is not the first time you've done this, bro.
Thank you.
You nailed it.
Dude, it's so fun being a guest on a podcast. Like I have zero notes, and I just get to talk to a good friend and dive in. And that's just one of the great things about business, is just podcasts like these.
Yeah. All right, look, let's go ahead and dive into this. We're going to go through the 6 pillars of the ProActivator, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to go through the pillars are faith, family, fitness, finances, focus, and fulfillment. And then guess what? You're going to evaluate yourself in each of those pillars, bro. All right? Because there's always room for improvement, but we also want to know the ones that you are really strong on, like how did you get there? Mm-hmm. You know, we want to dig deeper, you know. So let's go ahead and start with the pillar of faith. Now, from a scale to 1 to 10, 1 being Jesus who, to 10 being like Gabriel, I can't think of anything else that I can do to have a closer relationship with Christ. Yeah. Where do you think you fall on that?
Yeah, I love this. And if having that 10 being that absolute burning passion of fire where I can't think of anything else, to be honest, looking at it for myself, I'm probably a 6, pushing towards 8, 9, and 10. And if you look, I guess, let's say 5-6 years ago, maybe when I was in college, I was probably at a 2. like growing up, I was a Christian. I would have been a lukewarm Christian, we call it, and grew up Catholic, have a Christian household. My parents are amazing, but I'd never read the Bible. I never had that true personal relationship with Christ. I never understood that Christ is my number one priority. And I can say that, but actually fulfilling that is a totally different thing. So I'd say over the last couple of years, working on becoming the spiritual leader in our marriage and our relationship. I'm very blessed where Olivia, my wife, has and always has been the spiritual leader. But I believe it talks about it in Ephesians of the male of the relationship needs to be the spiritual leader. And Olivia has been really pushing me to accept that and to come out of my shell and to lead our family. And I'd say that's why we're at a 6, because I have a long ways to go, but I feel and am involved in our church and involved outside of church in our men's group. We call it the Forge. But most importantly is starting to make decisions and daily thoughts with the Lord. And I didn't fully understand that until maybe this year, where, especially in business, as we're making decisions to hire people, to bring on clients, to let people go, what to do with the money, fundraising, all this stuff, I was quickly going to our team and my wife and people, and I wasn't ever bringing that to God. And it's a shift that is difficult, I would say, to build that. I don't want to call it a habit, but sometimes it is. Like, who do I think of first? Oh, I want to run this by. Is it my wife or is it the Lord? And it should always be the Lord. And it's getting much better. And so I think that's why, you know what, I'm going to say 6.8. Okay, I don't know if we can do decimals, but we're going to do decimals. So I'd say a 6.8 with my faith, but on an upward trend as well of feeling that fire. The Lord is our Savior, and knowing that, feeling that, surrounding myself with people that understand that, but also equipping myself from those people to go out and multiply other disciples of non-believers. And so it's so fun to talk about this on the podcast. We get into it on our podcast a little bit, but not as much as we should. So this is, I love that we start with this, and I think it's very important when somebody gets to know you, somebody gets to know me, what our priorities are, where we stand, what kind of ground we're standing on. And for me, faith is number one. I say that, and it's getting better to where I'm acting on that as well.
Now, you said a lot of the things that make you a 6.8. Now, what are the rules that in your life that you've applied that get you there? If you can be a little more like direct on specific rules that you have that get you to a 6.8, and then after that, what's gonna get you to a 9 or 10? Look, like, what is it that you need in able to get over the hump?
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is to get me above a 5 and to really get me going, I need a decent foundation of habits. And what I'm careful with on that is not what's going to get me to a 9 or 10, right? This isn't prosperity. And so what helped me get to a 6.8 is praying with my wife before every meal, giving thanks to every meal I eat, praying before we go to bed, and very open-ended, right? We are praying for other people. We're asking God for certain things. We're thanking Him for everything. And we're also understanding that our time on earth here has been bonus time. This is all house money. We didn't deserve, I'm 30 years old. I didn't deserve the last 30 years, but hey, God gave it to me as a blessing, and I'm very thankful for that. And so if He calls me to heaven tonight, I'm very thankful for the 30 years we've gotten and very blessed for what's in store in the next eternity. And that's really what we're living for. And so prayer, I'll start there. Being involved in our church on Sunday, but being involved in our church outside of Sunday church. And that for me has looked like a men's group every Tuesday. And so we meet at the church. There's about 450 men that get together, and then we break off from there into a small Bible study. And for the last couple of years, I've been involved in Bible studies, and they've been transformational, I would say, of just learning the Word of God, but also building those relationships of, these aren't just church friends, right? I think for so long I had maybe church friends and then real friends. And now those are completely intertwined where it's the same thing. And my outlook on that has changed so much because I see the true people I want to surround myself with when it comes to my inner circle. And that is what has gotten me to this level, I would say. And what can get me to that next level of that 9, even up to a 10, is where I think pride comes in here and there of when we talk about our finances, or we talk about our business, or we talk about what do we want to do and all this. And it's a slippery slope, right, of being a good steward of these things, but also idolizing them because you think you're being a good steward of them. And keeping that in check to make sure that no matter what, I understand, appreciate, and worship that God, this is all God's everything. And I actually heard this 2 weeks ago in one of our sermons. Our pastor, Jamie, said, "When was the last time you shed a tear for somebody that isn't saved?" And that hit me because I never have. And there's many people I can think of right now that it just hasn't affected me the way it should, that they aren't saved.
Okay.
And so I know that is what can get me to that 9 or 10 is when I have that true relationship with God, but also that tenacity with others that aren't saved, of that emotional tie of knowing what's at stake. And I think that's what really hit me, and that's why I'm hovering around that 6.8.
So what do you think you can do, like, to be able to get there? Like if you start thinking, okay, so how do I get there? Like, what are the actions you need to take, the rules that you need to start adding in your life to really like start making that a reality in your life?
Yeah, when it comes to action steps, man, I think I think of it as stepping up. And for an example, 2 of our table leaders at the Forge are going to be gone next week, and they asked our table, like, does anyone want to lead the table next week? And I just shot my hand up. I'm like, I'll give it a whack. And I've been in this group for a while, but it's just stepping up when the door has opened. But also, sometimes you got to blow the door down and make it happen. So I think it's a combination of both, right? Of being a student of the Word, and so reading the Bible, 15 minutes a day, quiet time. Stepping up in situations like that where the door has been open for me and I just need to walk through it. Leading at Bible study, asking somebody, can I pray for you, in a situation where I never have? Like, let's say it's a best friend. Let's say it's a stranger. Hey, do you mind if I pray for you? Doing things like that may be out of my, I guess we could say, spiritual comfort zone, and just leading with the Holy Spirit, because these aren't my words coming out. This is the Holy Spirit. So the way I think of it is just being quicker on the trigger. If there's something in your heart, go for it. And then another big piece of that is in conversations where we normally don't talk about the Bible, stories, our faith. Let's say, I'll use an example. Let's say my wife and I are on a hike. Normally we're talking about everything else. We're talking about goals, we're talking about finances, we're talking about business. But when was the last time I've asked her about a story in the Bible out of curiosity and what she thinks of that? And I think that's where my spiritual leading can come from is injecting these conversations of faith into what normally is just monotonous conversation, which is still healthy to have. But I think that is how I take that next step into leading in our faith, especially in our marriage.
I like that. Yeah. So you talked about 3 different things that you can do, and well, awesome, brother. That's really good, Luke. That first of all, that you're aware of what you need to do. You're aware of where you are, and you know where you want to go. So thank you for sharing, Luke. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and move on to a second pillar. You see, this pillar right here, sometimes after faith, it depends on the person, but I don't really have a special order. After faith, I think faith is the number one. Everything, that's the foundation. But a lot of times we have family. Another pillar is fitness. Another pillar is finances. Sometimes it's focus. I think focus could easily be a pillar, the second pillar, because that's how we make everything else happen. But let's jump into the family pillar. So from a scale to 1 to 10, Luke, 1 being like your family forgot your name, to a 10 where you're engaged with your parents, your brothers, sisters, anybody that is a family member in your life. Like, how do you? Obviously, your wife and kids. I know you don't have any kids, but where do you fall on that spectrum?
Yeah, for this one, I have no shame in giving it a very high score. And I think that's important. Of course, as you're asking these questions, it's, hey, this is a self-audit. There's no bragging. There's none of this. And I would say for family, there's always room for improvement. So that's what I'm going to say, 9.9.
Nice.
And when I think of my relationship with my family, my wife and my wife's family, who is, of course, still family, we have come so far and do so much together, and we love hanging out. We spend time like we're friends together with our parents, with grandparents. I don't have any grandparents living anymore, but my wife, Olivia, has 2 grandparents still living, and just spending time with them. Man, I feel like I could just sit there forever and talk to my wife, talk to her parents, talk to my parents, I have 2 brothers, 1 older, 1 younger. They have wonderful women in their life. So my older brother is married with 2 nephews. My younger brother is engaged, and we're very tight. And
Nice.
but we're also like, we live in Arizona and they all live up in Minnesota, but it's almost like the perfect amount of time away to be super excited to spend time together. And like the holidays coming up, like we're just so excited to sometimes do nothing together. Just, you have those times where you're just visiting in the living room. Like that's what we love to do. We love to visit. We love to do puzzles. We love to play games together. We love to have coffee in the morning. We love to go on walks, maybe go on a hike, play with the kids together. And yeah, when I think about myself and how I feel towards the family, it's like, very, very high of, 9.9. But then when I think of too, like genuinely how healthy the relationship is between all of us kind of spiderweb together, like my in-laws hang out with my parents without even letting us know. Like it's so cool that all of these things are happening, and it doesn't feel forced at all. It just feels like they are our closest friends, our closest people. And another thing too, and maybe if there's some younger people listening to this, you can relate to when I graduated college, usually when you'd go back home, you'd hang out with all your friends. You do one day with this group and one day with this group, and then maybe see your parents for a little bit. Now when we go home, like we spend most of our time with our parents and our family, because not only are we obligated because they're family, but it's like they're also our friends. And I just know that that's been a really healthy shift and a healthy change. But we've also learned so much from them about marriage, about faith, and also too, we talk to them and we talk to each other as adults. So we talk about everything, man. We talk about finances, we talk about faith, we talk about business. Like we'll have legitimate business meetings with each other and help. Like we'll have the whiteboard out, we'll whiteboard everything. We'll see, okay, how can we help my dad's business financially or help it grow? And just those types of sessions, man, it's so cool where all of our worlds have collided and have developed the highest score so far in my ratings of a 9.9 for family.
Bro, I love that, bro. That's amazing, Luke. Bro, you it sounds like you live in a dream world, bro.
Dude, it's pretty awesome.
That's amazing. That your family is so like tight like that, and a lot of people wish that was the case in their lives. So let me ask you something. What are the things that you do? Do you work at it? Like, do you call your parents or make sure that you're like, what is the things that you do, or is it natural?
Yeah, I'd say this is a tough one to add in the habits because it is natural. I'm not a big texter. I'm not a big caller, but we just talk here and there. Like my mom just texted me. They're in Arizona right now, and they're going out to eat tonight. And they're like, yep, if you and Liv want to come, we're going out to eat at 4:30 for dinner. I'm like, well, Olivia's at work. Work gets done at 5. And I'm like, yeah, let me see if I can jump by and stop by. And so a lot of it is we're not really checking up on each other through text, but here and there we'll call each other just because we want to and catch up and hear how things are going. But man, I think somehow, I don't know how, but I think I've gotten past that stage of intentionally trying to reach out because now we just do all the time and we're trying to get together. We're trying to plan family trips and we're planning Christmas together and all of these things. But maybe part of it too is the reality that we all know of maybe, and this probably stems back to our faith of mortality. Like we all know we're going to pass away, and my grandparents have passed away, and we just don't know who's going first. And so I think we just truly enjoy the time together, and family is like where you want to start, I would say, because it's not only your friends, they're your family. And yeah, man, I would say there isn't many things from an intentional standpoint, but if there was, I would say it's prioritizing the time together where you're not doing anything. And let me explain. So what we used to do is we'd meet up for Christmas Eve at my parents' house. We'd do Christmas Day at my wife's parents' house. And then we'd do like the 26th at maybe our friend's house. But now what we try and do is like, okay, can we do 2 days at my parents' house where we're just like hanging out, doing nothing? And that is where I think our relationship has grown because you start to ask deeper questions because you're almost bored a little bit, but you're just hanging out. Like nobody's trying to get anywhere. There's not a bunch of activities, not all the time, but there kind of is. And like we're just hanging out and getting to know each other. And I think that has really helped our relationships grow just by spending time together and uninterrupted time. I'm not working during that time. I'm not on Zoom calls. So there's also a blessing in that realm as well of setting your calendar and your schedule up that way of, hey, when we're together the 23rd and the 24th, let's be where we are. Let's be present. Let's communicate. And to my family's credit and to everyone involved with our family, they do a really good job of that, of prioritizing like we are here right now. And I think that's really, really helped.
Nice, brother. I'm trying to, it had to be, okay, so if it's naturally on you, for you to have this, I'm just thinking, okay, how did Luke and his family like acquire this from, because sometimes teaching is often caught than taught. So you must have caught your family, maybe from your parents, on the way your parents were, where this is not a thing. Like this is just you. This is just who you are, and this is who you guys are because you guys embody this from, and you adopted this from the people that you had in your life because that's your philosophy. But who instilled this philosophy in you and in your wife and in your parents? So that's kind of, I'm curious about that. Maybe curious to find out if maybe you have like kind of like an answer for that, or maybe you don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a specific answer for that one, but what I will say is what has developed, we've all developed this closeness together. And what I think a couple big pieces from that would be dreaming together and talking about future goals and talking about, grandkids and talking about traveling and business and what does the next 10 years look like for you? What do you want it to look like? What does the next 5 years look like? And as we've grown up all together, right, as from young kids to now we're all adults, and then now new kids being introduced as grandkids, we just have deeper conversations. And that, I think it's always been in us, but a lot of times it's in the questions being asked and the topic at hand. We're not just talking about, like, I love NFL football, but we're not just like talking about that the whole time. And we're just like, what gets you excited? What fires you up? And I think that comes individually from each of us. I would say we're all high performers, and we all care more about we all care more about goals and dreams and aspirations more than the weather and just talking about that the whole time. So I think we're really good at pushing each other to become each other's best selves. And I think that's where I'll stick on that, is that maybe that's personality. Maybe we've learned that from each other, but it's really, really fun to see the people closest to you flourishing. And what we realize is we can help each other get there. And a lot of times it's bringing it out in the open, talking about it. And then, how can we help you get there and achieve that goal?
Nice, bro. Let's just say Jesus was the source.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Yeah. Jesus was he was the source.
Yeah. There's your answer.
Nice, Luke. I appreciate. Man, that's awesome, brother. All right, let's move on to the fitness health pillar, right? Because obviously God has entrusted us with our bodies, His body, and we have to be a good steward of this body as long as we're here. Now, from a scale to 1 to 10, Luke, same thing. 1 is like you don't even pay attention to that. To 10, I'm locked in. I get my stuff in. I eat healthy, and I'm in good shape. So, what do you think you fall on that category?
Yeah. So for fitness, I'm pretty hard on myself in this category because I know my potential is so much bigger. So I put 5.4, and part of that is I'm in decent shape, right? I work out every single day, but my workouts have been like a walk every day. Like my wife and I, we go on a walk around our lake every single night. We watch the sunset. I just started training for a marathon again to kick my butt into gear and to get up to that 7 or 8, and that's helping. But last year I had a trainer, and I was probably an 8.4 at last year, and I was building mass. I was getting stronger. I could see it. I could feel it. I was pushing weights. I was eating more because in my health journey, I'm trying to put on weight and put on muscle and mass. And the last 6 months or so, and long story short on the trainer, he ended up moving. And I was like, oh, dang. Like, we had so much good momentum going. And I was like, oh, I learned a lot from him. I'll translate this to the gym. And I am just, my accountability with myself in the gym is awful. And like I said, I'm fit enough and I'm athletic enough. I love competition. I love all this stuff. And for some reason, and I'm really trying to work on this, and that's why I hired the trainer, is I just need that extra push. That if he tells me 9 a.m. you be here for an hour, I'm there 9 a.m. It's blocked out in my calendar, and I have the best workout I've ever had. For some reason, I have an open calendar, let's say today or tomorrow. There's a gym I have a membership to, and I just don't work out with the intensity that I should be. So that's why it's at a 5.4. Steps to get that number up. For one, setting something on the calendar that's very difficult. My buddy is running his first marathon, and he asked me if I want to do it with him. Sure, I'm in. So now we're on Strava together. We track each other's running, and we're doing a program that'll help us. You got to hit 10 miles this week. Next week, you got to hit 15. Next week, you got to hit 20 in these increments. And so I love that type of accountability and competition. And that is how I need to view it as well, because our fitness and our health is one of our best assets. And especially at 30 years old, I'm in my prime, if not getting into my prime, and wanting to make sure I don't squash that just by, it's, yeah, dude, you're so good at talking about the habits too. And I'm working on terminating some of my bad habits. And sometimes it's a little bit at a time. A couple little things I've done recently that have terminated these bad habits. Easy one, got rid of pop. I didn't drink a lot of pop, but every once in a while, I'm just like, nope, never again. Easy. The other one, no fast food. So if a restaurant has a drive-through, I can't go to it. And that's just a simple rule that I just can't go to it. Okay, so where doesn't have a drive-through line? And you know what I mean? So just I like to gamify things as well, and I think that helps me. I like to do things like 75 hard and different shocks to my system. But really what I want to do is keep that momentum up. And what really gets me up from 5.4 to 7 and 8 is lifting, and that's what I'm not doing. So the running, the exercising, the walking, the hiking, it's all really good. But when I get to the point where I'm lifting heavier on a program there and also working on my flexibility, that is what's going to get me up to those 7s, 8s, and 9s, and hitting my goals, hitting my weight goals, putting on mass, and tracking everything as well.
Nice, bro. Well, it's good. You're definitely you're in good health, and a 5.4 you said 5.
Yeah.
5, yeah, it's pretty good. Obviously, because of your standards, you want to strive for a better, healthier. You want to build that muscle mass, which is the foundation of our body.
Yep.
Which is awesome. Well, I can tell you something, brother. As far as going to the gym, it's first of all, I love going to the gym. I do strength training in the morning, and then after that, bro, I do CrossFit. Bro, if you get into CrossFit, Luke, you kill it, bro.
Yeah.
Because CrossFit has all the things that you're looking for. It has the group, element of it. It's got some competition, healthy competition that goes on in CrossFit. When you go to outside of the city, there's always a CrossFit around your area.
Right.
There's always something that you can go to before whenever you go to somewhere, there's always a CrossFit that you can find. I know because a lot of people in my CrossFit class, you can tell there's people that come from other places and they look for a gym, bro, because that's their thing. And I think that if you were to implement something similar to CrossFit or something similar to that, you can get yourself to a 10, bro. Because,
yeah, dude.
Yeah. And all you have to do, and I love the rules that you have, brother. It seems like you just went through some amendments in your life and you established in your own personal constitution the things that you are going to, the rules that you just added. That's an amazing rule right there of not having any soda and not eating that's going to definitely make a big difference.
I can't even believe I forgot to say this, but one big one, I've been 3 months sober.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so same thing, an easy one, and we can talk about this more too, and I guess we have finance coming up. So I like to tie a lot of my business goals in with drinking, and so if we don't hit, I started doing this last year at 7-Figure Agency. It was, if we didn't hit our goal that we set, I'd give up drinking till we hit it. And it wasn't that I loved drinking or I had a problem with it or anything. It was just, it took away the opportunity to have a glass of wine when I wanted to. And I like that competition side of things. But what I realized too is that I don't need alcohol. It's a lot healthier without it. I don't judge anyone that does drink alcohol. But for me, and for this fitness goal, and for finance, and for business, and for fulfillment, faith, relationally, it's for me, it's not as great to be drinking versus not drinking. And what I really like about giving up alcohol and doing portions of sobriety is it's challenging, right? So every wedding you go to, every bachelor party, every golf outing, it's easier, in my opinion, to crack a beer with everyone and to just do that, right? And what I've liked about it is it challenges me to not be able to do that. And so I've really enjoyed that journey as well. And I also too, like when the holidays come around, when Christmas comes around and we're with our family, I plan on having a glass of wine with my family. And I always like to say that I never want to lose the privilege of having a drink, because what I was on the road of is eventually going to lose that privilege. Whether I get a DUI, I say something say something that I would never say sober, I hurt somebody in any way, emotionally, relationally, anything. And you see it all the time with that. And coming out of college, you start to see some bad habits. And I'm just like, I don't want to go down that road. I want to get ahead of this and never lose the privilege of choosing to have a drink when I do want to. And so that's why I've been going on these, going sober unless it's a very specific occasion that I've planned for. And like if we're in Italy, for example, and we're at a vineyard, having a glass of wine there and trying it. But I think the reason for drinking has changed dramatically.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, that's a good one. I personally, I never really had I don't know. I never really craved it. Like since I was, I did get drunk as a teenager and as a young man. But after a while, Luke, it just, I don't know. Like one thing that I did when I was young that I really liked was smoking weed. Right. That was like my thing. Obviously, I let that go too. But if I can choose between either one, it's like, man, I think weed was my thing. But drinking, never been a problem. I don't really drink much now. When I do, it's very little. Like, let's say we went to the Go High Level event.
Yep.
And I just had, I always tell the guy, just give me a soda water with lemon. You know? And that's just, hey, it looks like a drink. I'm still hanging out with the
thing
people.
Too. Yeah. That soda water with lemon is such a great like little strategy that, because you do want something in your hand as you're talking to people, and that is a very real thing. And I've been on the non-alcoholic beers, and nowadays you don't even know the difference. Like they taste the same. There's so many different flavors. It's not just O'Doul's anymore. And yeah, man, it's just it's a great alternative. And I've heard a lot of people do that. The club soda and the lemon. I just think that's a great way to do it if you're trying to stay off of it.
Yeah. Well, I do it for just to be a part of the not oh no, I don't drink, but it's just the way I do it. Either way, but I still drink a lot of soda water. If I go to a restaurant, that's what I order. I'll take some soda water, with the lemon. It's just such my thing. All right, Luke. So let's jump into the financing pillar. So evaluate yourself from now. The financing pillar is not about like how much you have or how much you acquire. The financing pillar under the category of the ProActivator is how good of a steward are you with the finances that you've been entrusted with. And that's the real, because it doesn't matter if you're making $20,000 a year. How good are you on steward? You can be a 10. And because I'm a great steward, I pat myself in the shoulder because I know that I manage his finances the way that I should. So where do you fall under that category?
I love this question, and especially for this podcast, because it's deeper than just how much money do you have. I would say 9.2, a very high score. Nice. And thinking deep about this one, there's a couple things that we can unpack here. So for one, in terms of being a steward, I love the education side of money. Like, I'm not an accountant and I didn't get a degree in finance, but it's very interesting to me to learn from other people, especially in business, gross profit, net profit, revenue, monthly recurring revenue, how much should an owner pay themselves. And tying it back to the ProActivators is those numbers are important because if those are all out of whack and we don't know those numbers, you're not being a good steward and a good manager of this business or of your personal finances. So for me, like I think talking about money is very exciting, not in the way of idolizing it, but in the way of understanding the tool that God has provided. And one thing I usually say too is that you can't deny that you need money in this world to survive, I guess you could say, or to buy things, or it's a form of currency to keep the lights on, to feed your family, all of these things. So understanding it has been a very healthy journey, I would say. And we talk more and more about finances with our families now, our parents, our siblings, where it goes when we die. Honestly, Olivia and I, I'm 30 and she's 28, and we just finished our first will just to, hey, where does this go? This monetary, materialistic thing that is important, but where does it go if we pass away next week? And it's allowed us to think and pray deeper on that. And if anyone listening doesn't have a will, it doesn't matter what age you are. Like, you should get set up with one, because we've seen the other side of it where, like, if my grandparents pass away and there's no will, or it's very messy, it can be very difficult on families, because you're dealing with the emotional toll, but then you're dealing with the financial toll of who gets what, where, how much, do we sell, do we not sell, all of that. So another piece of finance is, man, I was just talking to somebody 2 days ago at church about this. When it comes to, and I'll use business as an example, but it's also in your personal life, you sometimes hear it like, oh, I want to become rich and famous so I can give more. But if you think of it, it's not the amount that you have, and you alluded to this. It's really the heart posture, and we'll just stay at that. It's not a percentage, even though the Bible says 10%. It's the heart posture behind it. So when I relate that to, let's just say, when I started Phaser, a specific example that I can give is in 2020, so it's July 2020, I started Phaser marketing in October 2019. So I'm still working my job full time. Phaser at this time probably has, we're just starting. So we had like 2 clients, maybe a couple $1,000 in the business bank account. I wasn't paying myself anything. And COVID had just hit, and we're coming up to July of 2020. And I was like, I really want to, I know I don't have any money, but I really want to give now. And I know what I do have is the creative ability to bring people together for our common mission. And plus, we're a marketing agency. I should be able to be able to do that. So, but I knew in my heart, I'm like, I think we can make some waves here if we start now. And so I called the executive director of our Boys and Girls Club of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, which is my hometown. And I didn't know how any of this worked. I was in my car outside of Dickie's Barbecue Shack on my lunch break, and I was like, hey, Pat. And we'd known each other, but I was just like, hey, I have my business, Phaser Marketing. We don't have a lot of money, obviously. We just started, but I would like to start some type of like foundation or fundraiser and give the funds to a place we believe in, which we believe in the youth, and we love what you guys are doing. Like, how does that work? Like, if I raise, let's say $5,000 over 10 days just through Venmo and through people jumping in on this train, like, can I give that to you, or how does that work? And he's like, yeah, we'll take it. And it was really just as simple as that, of just calling and asking, and him being like, yeah, absolutely. Let us know how we can help. So what we did is I'm like, all right, let's give ourselves 10 days to raise as much money as possible for the Boys and Girls Club of Detroit Lakes for our first Phaser fundraiser. And what we did is we just used social media. We said, hey, we're raising money. This is, if every $3 donation pays for 5 kids to get snacks. I mean, it's just so small, so simple, but we were giving people the channel and making it super easy. Hey, Venmo me at Luke Eggebraaten. Hey, let me know. Just shoot me a message if you want to give. I'll take care of the rest. And what we did in 10 days in July of 2020 was we had a goal. We said, hey, our goal is to raise $5,000 for the Boys and Girls Club. We then raised $6,100 for them in 10 days. We did the big check presentation because we knew, like, let's keep this going. Mm-hmm. Let's take pictures. Let's get excited about this. Let's inspire others. And that was 2020. 2021, we did not have our fundraiser. I don't want to make excuses. We wanted to do in person. COVID was bad during that time. And we said, okay, let's put all of our time and energy into 2022 and make sure that we have an in-person fundraiser and we make this thing happen. Fast forward to 2022, we had our first Phaser fundraiser Black Tie Gala. We raised $20,000 for them. 2023, we did it again. We raised $30,000 for the Boys and Girls Club. 2024, did it again. We raised $40,000. And then this fall, we just finished our 5th Phaser fundraiser, our 4th Black Tie Gala, and we raised $70,000 for the Boys and Girls Club. And I'm just fired up, right? And the cool thing about this, right, and I don't want people to forget this, is if you look at if we really want to go into the numbers, if you look at the percentage that I myself or Phaser Marketing donated, it is not the full amount, right? It is a small portion of it. But of the $70,000, we had 53 sponsors step up and say, hey, toss us down. We want to help. And of those 53, I think it was 38 or 40 of them have never even been to Detroit Lakes. So we're really trying to inspire those across the country, in Canada and everywhere. And our clients, like, hey, we have the channel to be able to help. We're going to put our money where our mouth is too. We're going to match. We made a match as well, but we need your help. And that, when I look at the finance grade, when I look at how we do it, and I try and be as honest and humble as possible, I know that our heart is in the right place because we can inspire and convince that people that, hey, your money, for one, isn't yours. It's the Lord's, but 2, it can help so many people, and we have this direct path to where it's going to go and where it's going to help. And so, man, it's just been an unbelievable journey and a ride with that. And next year we're going to do it again, and we're going to try and raise 100K as our goal. But we just want to keep the momentum, keep the excitement, keep the positivity around it, and just show everyone that, hey, this money can be used for good, and we can be great stewards of what we're doing.
Look, let me ask you something. How did you become, like, what is the motivation, or like, where did you learn to be a steward in the first place? Like, okay, this is how I should manage money. This is this is the budget. This is how much is allocated to this. This is how much we have to spend on this area. Where did you pick that up from?
Yeah. So, man, great question. So let me back up to, so 2014 to 2018, I was in college. Right before I went to college, I found something on Craigslist. It was a go-kart, and I bought it for $200, and I got it home, and I put a coat of black paint on it for $5, and I sold it for $400. And so that was the first introduction I had into business, was you can go out of the cave, kill something, bring it back home. And that had me hooked at the beginning of business. And so during college, from 2014 to 2018, I would buy things and sell things, right? And I would find a good deal. I'd buy a dune buggy, put a coat of paint on it, clean it up, and remarket it and sell it for more. And so that's where it started. And then as I got to late 2017, heading into 2018, I was graduating that summer. And as most people know, I had student loan debt. Luckily, I went to a state school. It's a great school, but I had $41,000 student loan debt, which the crazy thing is that's not a lot nowadays. But I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I think I realized, but I didn't realize I had to pay this. Classic, right? And so I started, I'm so thankful for it. I started listening on YouTube to Dave Ramsey clips, and he was talking about getting out of debt and spend less than you make. What a crazy concept. And being a good steward of these finances and these resources, because he's a believer and he's a Christian. And remember, this is when I'm way more interested in money than my faith. And so there was a great introduction of, I loved business. I loved making profits, not in a greedy, bad way, but just really interested in it. But then Dave, for me, did such a great job of introducing Christianity and how you become a good steward of these resources and how you can be bankrupt, but also build a $300 million company and be a great steward of those resources. And I just thought that was fascinating. It fired me up. And my wife, Olivia, she came out with $27K plus maybe a $30K in student Parent Plus, and so she had 57. I had 41, and we just started talking about it more. We're very goal oriented, and we realized too, if we just let this debt hang around, are we being good stewards if our interest is going to this private student loan company or the government? No. I mean, I would rather have a say where that money goes. And so we started to catch on, okay, there's a better way to manage this money rather than credit card debt or student loan debt, or if we get to choose where it goes, then we can control where it's going and be a good steward of it. So really that's how it started, I would say, is from business to then evolving into listening to Dave Ramsey to then we cleared up all of our debt. And then when I started Phaser, it tried to bring that mentality into it and that foundation of my faith and of our faith and how we make decisions, where we send the money. And I'm not perfect and nobody is. And I think there's that we always want to check ourselves, we are human, but at the same time too, we are managers of what God has given us. And so I take that with a lot of heart and making sure that, hey, I don't want to screw this up. And you see that, and I know you've talked about this before, but making a net profit on your business is not greedy. It's actually, you're being a good steward of the business you've been hired to manage by God. And when I understood that, it made so much more sense to me. I was like, okay, I'm less emotional about money, new clients coming in, even, clients leaving, of course, is not great, but we figure out why and we make it right. But it helps boil it down to the people, of taking care of your people, which is your team and your clients, but also understanding that, hey, the money coming in and out, it helps me to look at it in terms of percentages, just to make sure that we're in a healthy operating business. And as we talked earlier, some of those things like monthly recurring revenue, gross profit, net profit, cash flow, these aren't numbers to figure out how much money am I putting in my pocket. These are numbers to make sure that the health of the business we've been hired to manage by God is in great standing and can produce more. Because as Dave would say too, when you do a great job for a customer, they give you a tip which is paper with presidents' faces on it, which is money, and that's profit. And so if you're doing a good job in your business, you're doing a good job managing and leading, and you're taking care of your clients and your people, there will be profit in a for-profit business. And that is great, because then you can decide where that money goes, what percentage of it goes where, And you can also, like we talked about earlier, give a good portion of that. And Dave says something too. It's like live and give like no one else, so later you can live and give like no one else. And just being that driver of, okay, we have these resources, how do we best grow them, produce them, but also then distribute them to others that can benefit from it.
So let me ask you something, Luke. Do you guys have meetings where you do your budget, look over the numbers? Do you guys have that allocated on a monthly basis? Or how does it look like for you to be a good steward?
Yeah, so there's two parts to this. So the one part is the personal side, the one part's the business side. So the business, absolutely. We meet with our fractional CFO every 2 weeks, myself and our integrator, our COO, Josie, and we go through the finances, we go through the accounts receivable, but every day I'm in there categorizing transactions, just making sure we know where the money's going, making sure everything is looking healthy, that we won't have to lay people off if there is a bit of a downturn for us, and just making sure that I'm understanding the business model itself. So yes, absolutely on the business. And then we have targets through Seven Figure Agency. They give us good targets to shoot for. So as an example, so you have your revenue, which top line revenue, and then of that, the gross profit typically is somewhere around 65% would be a very healthy agency. And then the net profit, somewhere around that, like 20, 25, 30% would be a healthy agency. So it helps to get those numbers of where is a good, healthy target to be running our business. And so that's on the business side. And then on the personal side, Olivia and I have we have a meeting once a month, and in that meeting, we talk about budget, personal budget. We talk about upcoming trips or expenses. Like if we have $3,000 coming out for car insurance this month, like we just talk about that, talk about Christmas gifts, things of that nature. And then we also, in this money meeting, we have an open time to talk about our marriage and our relationship. And I think that has been really important, and we pray beforehand. And then when we talk about our marriage, this is open conversation of if there's anything I can do to be a better husband, and then also if there's anything she can do to become a better wife. And this has really helped us because it doesn't come from when she gets home from work and I'm like, hey, I'd appreciate it if you do the dishes more. But it comes from a place of, okay, we're going to talk about our marriage at our monthly meeting. Is there anything I can do to be better? Is there anything like that's bugging you that I'm doing that I might not even know? And having that agreeance and that time and space where you can talk about that has really helped us uncover things in a very polite and respectful way that we've then routed and fixed to become better stewards of our personal finances, but also a husband and a wife working towards becoming closer to God.
That's amazing, bro. Let me ask you something. What made you start these meetings? Like, where did you get this from? Like, how do you, like, you know what? Let's start doing personal meetings and let's talk about this, and that. Like, tell me how that started. Yeah,
man. So it probably 3 or 4 years ago, like Olivia and I are very goal oriented, and we like I mentioned, we like competition. We like to see improvement. We like to make sure we are holding ourselves to higher standards, pushing ourselves to become the best version of ourselves we can be. And so I'd say probably maybe it was 4 years ago, year after marriage, I'd say, we, instead of just setting goals that we're never hitting, we decided to set categories of goals. And so, for example, like right now, our categories are a physical goal, and it's just one a year. Very simple. One physical goal a year. We have a physical goal, we have a financial goal, and you'll see a lot of similarities here with what we're talking about. We have a career goal. So for me, that would be business. Probably one of my favorite new categories we added in last year is an education goal. And then the fifth is bucket list. And so what we do and what we started doing and what created these monthly meetings is at the beginning of the year, Liv would really help with the vision day. So we'd go off site to a coffee shop and she would help her and I get into the mindset of where do we want to be in 2 years and 5 years? What does it smell like? Where are we at? What's the date? What are we doing? What do we feel like? What do we look like? What's our prayer routine like? What's our relationship like? What does our family look like? And we go through this vision day before setting these goals. And it's very important. And then once all of that is done, we go into each setting our physical goal, financial goal, career goal, education goal, and then we each pick one thing from our bucket list that we do that year. And what I'm always say with the bucket list, it doesn't have to be international travel. It doesn't have to be expensive. I've seen a bucket list item from somebody that they just wanted to have a Disney marathon with their kids and their grandkids one weekend. I'm like, that is amazing. And that can expand your mind on what a bucket list item is. But what that does is now for the last 3 or 4 years, Olivia and I have one thing at a time. We pluck it off our bucket list and we go do it and we make it happen. And what's really, really helped with these meetings, but also with these goals, is that there has to be either a consequence or a reward. And the first couple years, let's say we had a physical goal. Let's say Olivia's was to do the rim to rim in the Grand Canyon, and mine was run a marathon. And let's say Olivia did hers and I did not do mine. It was kind of just like, yeah, whoops, dang it, next year. But what we didn't have was a reward or a consequence. And Josh Nelson talks all the time about this. So what we started doing, which has been really fun, is we have a bottle of wine or champagne and we write the goal on there at the beginning of the year. And the only time we can pop it is when both of us have completed that goal for the year. So if you don't complete it, you don't get to pop it. If one of us completes it, you don't get to pop it. But what also it does on the flip side is that when we each hit our physical goal or our financial goal, we get to pop that bottle, celebrate, write on the cork, save the cork, and reflect on that journey to get there. And then also start to think about, what do I want to do next year for this category? And that is where these monthly meetings come in, because as you know, Gabriel, if you just set the goal and you check in October, it's like, it's not going to work. You're not going to hit it. So these monthly meetings are great progress check-ins of talk about our finances, upcoming things. We talk about our marriage, open forum there, but also we talk about where you're at in your goals. So we hit that every month as well.
Nice, brother. Bro, what can I say, man? I admire your structure, brother.
Thank you.
Because I can, a lot of things that you say. So we also do, I started family meetings about 5 years ago. I have 2 boys, 15 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
And we do them once a week, 7 a.m. Saturday mornings. But these meetings, man, once you have kids, man, you'll see, they become, they're not fun all the time. Sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
We do start with victories and celebrations. Everybody talks about, sometimes I do notes, or like my son this week, I saw that he made his bed twice. I make note of it, so that way on Saturday I can bring it up. And then, it's an open floor. If anybody, like maybe the brother saw that his other brother did something, he can bring it up and just have those celebrations and victories. And then we talk about things that we can improve. Very similar to you, as far as what can each of us improve. They're very open with me, what I can improve, with my wife. And we tell them, listen, guys, you need to be in the car waiting for your mom in the morning, not the other way around, right? So make that a goal. Or make sure that the garbage gets thrown out without us telling you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, right? So that, they continue working. Or the laundry, right? They've been doing the laundry, Luke, since they were like 9 and 11.
That's awesome.
They do their own laundry, like they fold their clothes, they put it in the washer, dryer, we still have to be like, hey guys, come on, the washer is done, you got to do it. But they go through the motions.
Yeah.
And so, man, hearing you say those things really are awesome, because I know for a fact that when you guys have kids, bro, that's going to be a thing with your kids as well, right? And you're going to ingrain this way of living with your children, and you're just going to create amazing citizens, bro, which we need.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Little
so
ProActivators. Yeah.
Heck yeah, the little ProActivators. And one last thing I'll say on that too is, and I heard this and it's really stuck with me, is take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. And I think that's very important for these types of things that you and I are talking about, of like monthly meetings with your spouse and all of these things. Like the structure is serious, but when we're in there, like, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We take each other seriously, but we're light. It's fun. It's exciting. Like, we have goals and dreams together, and just want to make sure that everyone listening that is looking to implement some of these things has that mindset where, hey, we're not going to be dragging our feet. We're not going to bring the other person down or beat them up. This is supposed to be an exciting improvement in your life, and especially in the other person's life as well. So just keep that in mind of, take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah. Well, look, when you have kids, it becomes a little difficult, because sometimes there's things that you have to address, and they're not really that comfortable, but they have to be brought up, because if not, they're going to continue emerging. And so sometimes, it becomes a little tough. Even for me, Luke, sometimes, bro, I've cried because, my kids just tell me, and I've dropped the ball. So some meetings, not all, man, but some meetings, they do get tough. But when are we going to talk about those serious things? Those are what the meetings are for.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, then they emerge in our regular life, in our everyday life, and that's what we want to avoid. Let's talk about the things, the good things and the bad things. That's what the meetings are for. And it helps, Luke. It helps a lot, with our family dynamic. Right now my son is 15. He's talking to a girl. It's like, man, I don't approve of that. It's like, he's too young, bro. He's 15. So I have to navigate it in a way where it's tough. It's tough to navigate that, but I have to, right? But the meetings are a good foundation to like bring those things up. And some meetings are awesome, bro. Some meetings, it's like, oh man, a lot of great things happened that week. There wasn't much that we have to like really like twist or tweak. The kids are doing good. They're listening. They're doing what they're supposed to. Their homework, their grades are great. So and awesome. But we do have those times when they become teenagers where those conversations they get tough, especially as a parent. You're gonna drop the ball a lot, like I have, and I have to own it, Luke. If I don't, what am I teaching here?
Yeah.
If I own my own mistakes, if I don't swallow that pill of pride, then what am I doing? What am I teaching them? So it's gotta happen. And I love the fact that they call me out, and I have to accept it. Sometimes it's not easy, but it is what it is. But yeah, man. I mean, in our family, those meetings sometimes they get a little tough.
And I want to clarify too, because you can almost compare it to an L10 leadership meeting, right? We have the time set aside. We're trying to solve issues. We all respect each other and hold each other to a high standard, but we're here to have like healthy conversations and debates. So to clarify, you bring up a great point of, let's bring that to the meeting. Let's talk about this and talk about how we feel and try and come up with a solution. And in business, it'd be IDS it. So identify the problem, discuss solutions, and then solve it. And a lot of times too, those are very hard conversations. But I think what really helps is having the time set aside where you're not catching somebody off guard and just throwing it on their plate when they have something else on there currently. And especially as a parent, I can imagine how difficult that is, of navigating different age gaps as well, and just making sure that, okay, hey, we have a time set aside for this. We can talk about it here and talk about how we're feeling, but also hear how you're feeling and try and come up with a solution that works.
Yeah. And also, we talk about budget, the budgeting, we will not integrate our kids into making sure that they know that, money and money management is a thing, and we have to learn it, how to, so we talk about our budget too as well in our family meetings. Let's go make a shift, brother, to a pillar that is for me, is one that has changed a lot of my life, which is the focus. Because, man, this society is so distracted, and there's so much calling to our attention in a daily basis. And once I was able, Luke, to really own this pillar, a lot of things changed in my life, right? Because I would go to work, but a lot of times I would do a lot, but then I wouldn't do much. It's like, what am I doing here? And once I started putting a plan, just like budgeting our finances, started budgeting my time, Luke. And that really, and I put a time slot of what am I going to do from this time to this time. And once I start doing that, I don't look at anything else but that, and I complete that. And once I started doing that, Luke, it took like maybe 2-3 weeks. And sometimes it was easy for me because I already have rules in my life. So when I decide to apply a new habit, I already know how to do it because I've done it in other areas. And I think that's the same way with a lot of people like you and people that already know how to do certain things. It's easy for them to apply new rules and not get deviated that much. So I implemented this new rule, and it changed everything. I had more confidence. I got a lot more done, and I eradicated distractions. So at that point, I haven't watched basketball in years. I made a decision to just not watch basketball or follow any sports. I love them, but it just doesn't serve me. I made a decision to this year not to continue like following like politics and everything that's happening. It's like and because it was just consuming me, it wasn't serving me. So eradicated that. Some podcasts, like the PBD podcast, other podcasts I used to listen to, they're not bad, but I eradicated those distractions from my life, Luke. And just this year, that pillar really made a big difference in my life. And so that's why focus is one of the biggest ones, because it puts everything else. It's that structure, right, that puts everything else into perspective. And so my question to you is, where do you fall in this pillar from a scale to 1 to 10? Like, how focused is your attention?
Yeah, I love this one because it's multifaceted for me. I gave myself an 8.7, so very high score. But I would say where I'm very focused and very dialed and I don't want to say monotonous, but really focused and on the right path would be following the plan for business and the niche and focusing on, hey, this is who we serve, this is what we're going to do. Following the plan and focusing on, like, man, we could say basically all these pillars, right? The plan and the focus on my faith, my family. Fitness needs to be better, and that's where it drops me of, okay, I'm not focused on my workout plan. And really that's where I came up with this number. But then when you look at the finance sector, even of, am I focused there? Like, we've been on, to get out of debt, to work on paying off the home, to focus on the business finances. It's been a long journey that takes focus, and we feel very, very confident and focused on that. Like, delayed gratification, I'd say, is one of my better traits, almost to a fault, where I know it's going to take time, and I'm so okay with that and so cool with it. And so I think that's where it increases the score. But in terms of focus, yeah, I'd say 8.7. A couple of the drawbacks would be, sometimes one of our biggest drivers for business is social media. And as you know, it can be a little bit of a black hole there. And so I think I don't put my foot down enough on myself of just being there for business, taking care of that, jumping off. Like I don't mind scrolling. I don't think I doom scroll like a lot of people, but a lot of things are pretty mindless on there. So my focus can definitely be improved with certain diet restrictions, as we talked about earlier, with working out, and then with mixing business with other distractions like social media, and really optimizing my time so that I'm doing what I really want to do and what I know I'm here on this earth to do. So 8.7, great score, but a lot of room for improvement.
I like that. That's pretty good. I like how you broke it down into different areas of your life. I'll tell you something about social media. I stopped looking into Instagram years ago, and Facebook, forget it, because Facebook is just an attention grabber, bro. There's so many bells and whistles there for you to, scalding your attention. It's like going into a candy store. So I eradicated Facebook years ago, and Instagram about 2-3 years ago. So when I do go into Instagram, I have rules. I don't go into the Explorer page. I don't go into, I don't even know the name of the other pages. But I only go into like my stuff. Like, what am I going to do here? Who do I need to comment to? Who liked, and then I stay in that little ecosystem. I don't press the home. I don't go to the Explorer page. I don't go there. It's just my fingers doesn't go there anymore because there's nothing for me there.
Yep.
And it's just a rule that I applied. And honestly, what I like, Luke, when I go into my phone, the other day I was looking through my phone through the settings, and I found screen time. Oh, let me check on this. And that day I was doing something for Instagram. I was looking for something on Instagram. I was looking for somebody that needed that I had met at a 7FA meeting, and I was looking for that lady because she did a business that I was interested in. So I'm like, man, where is she? So I was in Instagram for a while, for like 7 minutes. But when I look into the settings, it showed that my total of being in Instagram, it was like 7 minutes. The amount of time that I was there on, that time, that day, at that point. And I'm like, you know what? I'm proud of that, And there was other apps where I spent most of my time. One of them is my fitness app, because I have it open as I'm exercising. I like to log in what I'm doing. So that app for an hour is open throughout my workout in the mornings. So that was one of the apps that I spent time in. A WhatsApp communication. Another one was my Bible app, which I spent about 15 to 12 minutes a day. And so, you know what? I was like, I showed it to, the guy that I work with. Oh, bro, look at this. Check this out. I was proud of that, because I like the fact that Instagram or any of those platforms don't consume my time anymore,
right?
Because that wasn't the case in the past, So, but for you, Luke, yeah, man, 8.8, that's pretty good, man. And you already know the things that you have to like adjust to put you at a 9.9, man.
And I think that's part of the focus score, right? Is knowing what I need to focus on. Because if that was, let's say, a 6 or a 5-ish, I wouldn't know what the next steps are. The exciting thing is I know what to adjust and where to go and what steps those are, where, the other 3 or 4 facets that we talked about are, I'd say, very focused and dialed in. So it's exciting to think about that and to come up with that of, where are we at in terms of focus. And also too, I don't want to confuse focus with complacency. And I probably sensed that a little bit maybe at the beginning of this year. I thought we were focused, we were doing our thing, we're just continuing on this path, and mainly business, I'll say, but started to notice, like, is this getting confused with complacency? Are we just doing it because it's comfortable? And I just got the book, The Comfort Crisis, and really reading that and pulling yourself out of this, kind of comfort monotony and just, this feels good. Yep, I'm dialed in here, got this. But sometimes you got to throw that wrench into it and screw things up. And I think my good friend Tim Shermack actually said this the other day. He's like, if you're, as the leader, if you're not confusing and frustrating your team every once in a while, you're not doing a good job of leading. And so I took that as an interesting nugget, because I'm definitely more on the side of focus, even keel. This is the plan. But then what percentage or what part am I making sure that, hey, we're also always innovating, we're throwing in ideas, we are doing things different. And so it's a very interesting conversation, but that's part of the focus, is to realize that, I think. And that's where I'm going with this, is just focus is knowing where you want to go and how to get there as well.
And avoiding the distractions.
Yeah.
Because as long as our distraction is somewhere else, then we're not being focused. We're not really, how do you call that, when you're in the zone? You're not in the zone in whatever it is that you're doing. That's what I found. I found myself in the zone in each task that I'm doing, because I didn't let anything. And there was time where I'm pulling. Let me see. Just because I get bored, but then I stop myself. No. Let's keep going. So you have to be okay with boredom. You have to be okay with boredom. And but one thing you said before that I really want to dig into, like, Luke, where did you learn to be okay with delaying gratification? I'm interested to learn that.
I would say, if I were to give one answer, I would say probably just my learning and listening to Dave Ramsey of how you get out of debt, how you build a business, how you can do it. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna say Dave Ramsey, because when you think about it, you can always do things faster with OPM, other people's money, and you can always scale faster, and you can always build your business quicker, spend more on ads, buy the building, all this kind of stuff. And it's very difficult and very weird to not have any debt. But when you factor in risk and you factor in that delayed gratification of, if you delay it and you do these steps, you can have that gratification. It just looks a lot different. And so I really latched onto it probably from that, listening to his EntreLeadership, especially, where he talks about business but has those Christian values that I appreciate. And to me, it made more sense. And if people take out debt, I don't think they're a bad person, right? And but for me and for my wife, we sleep a little bit better at night knowing that we don't owe anyone anything. And for us, that sounds awesome. Like, we'd love to get there. And so we started that journey back in 2017, 2018 to get there. But it wasn't hey, let's invest in this now, cash it out later so we can pay off that. And then it's very boring, as you said. And that I really attached to this is a 4-year plan. This is a 5-year plan. This is a 10-year plan. And what I also like too is, at parties, it's not sexy to talk about, right? When your financial investing strategy, it's not sexy to talk about ETFs and mutual funds and how we're investing in there. And it's like, that is where, in my opinion, that we're in a good spot, is when we're investing in some real estate, some diversified ETFs and mutual funds. But it's different for everybody. And I think that's very important to know. And so, even going back to the financial pillar, we love learning about finance, and we're not locked into one way of doing things. So we're continuously learning, but until we understand it and we can teach it to somebody else, then we can go into that avenue. But for us, what we understand right now and what makes a lot of sense is getting rid of debt. That nobody's going to argue with. Actually, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people argue with it. But for us, if we focus on getting out of debt, would we be happy with that? Sure. And we had a great call with somebody very close to us, and we're contemplating the idea of paying down our house and eventually paying off our house. And we're at like a 6.2% interest rate, so it's not like the crazy low ones or anything. And we're like, what do we do? Should we focus on this? Should we focus on that? Should we invest it and try and make the difference? And he's like, there's no wrong answer here. Like, you're really just kind of in the middle. He's like, what I would say is you'll never regret paying off your house. And I was like, I like that. And it made a lot of sense to me. And that's what we felt better with, of going down that path. And so for us, all of these goals have behavior, habits, and time attached to them. And habits, if you've ever read Atomic Habits, I know you have, Gabriel, but everyone listening, if you're at Atomic Habits, it's like 0.1%, 0.1%, 0.1%, and you're just getting just a tiny, tiny bit better, but then it compounds into more of a hockey stick growth. And another book to tie in there is The Compound Effect. And so reading those two books together is a great hack, by the way. Atomic Habits and then read Compound Effect. Unbelievable. But it really talks about that long journey and that delayed gratification of, hey, if you wait, if you keep doing this, if you keep building these good habits, guess what? It's going to get much, much better and much quicker in insert years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And so really that made a lot of sense to me, in the element of time. And one other thing too, we're just diving in here. I love this. I think John Shahidi talks about it. He said, life is long. And I was like, interesting. And so most people say life is short, live it up. Life is short. Go do that right now. And I can relate to that too, of course, it makes sense. But what John Shahidi said is life is long. And he meant it in the terms of business, really, and relationships, of don't treat this relationship or this conversation like you need something now, or this needs to happen now. And there's a sense of some desperation that can come out in those situations. But when you treat people like they're going to be around your life forever, and they're going to be around here 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years, you are a bit more thoughtful in what you say. You're a bit more careful in the bridges you burn, and you look at things a little bit different. So I thought that was a very interesting angle to look at that I've never heard, that I wanted to bring up here, is that, hey, if you look at it the other way, life is long. And how you go about that when it comes to delayed gratification, it ties in perfectly, because you're not as obsessed with having it now, get rich quick, taking shortcuts, but you do the right things to get to that point.
Bro, I like how you have adopted all these philosophies that really serve you well, Luke, and your wife as well. You both, you seem like you guys are an amazing team. And the way you run your business, all these philosophies of the books that you've read, the people that have coached you, you just like a little kid in a candy store, only
Sure.
getting the
Yeah.
stuff that are good for you. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna apply that.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this? Boom, let me get that too. And you just like that, and having that, just having, that's a habit. That's you. It's in you,
Sure.
and you already have that in you. So whenever you see something, oh, I could use that. Boom, automatically you get it, and it seems like you apply it, and then oh, great results. So that's what happens. So that's cool, Luke. That's awesome. Let's jump into the last pillar, which is very. You've talked about this a lot already. So, but it's the pillar of fulfillment. Fulfillment is what we're here. Is what we've called to be, to serve. And in the pillar of fulfillment, right? Of serving others. As you've mentioned in the other pillars, it seems like that's a common theme in your life. In every pillar, all you do, Luke, is you serve, from faith to your family to your in your finances. So. But let me talk to me about that. How would you rate yourself in that pillar? From 1, it's like, oh man, I don't even serve anybody. I'm just here for myself. To a 10, it's like I don't know if I can think of anything else that I can serve more. Like where do you fall on that?
Yeah. So when I put this down, I want you to know how I was thinking of it as well. So fulfillment of, and maybe let me know if this is against the rules or not, but fulfillment of how I feel day in and day out of being fulfilled, right? And feeling that fulfillment. Because I do believe there's much more I can do in terms of serving. But when I'm thinking of it in the way of fulfillment on a day-to-day, month-to-month basis of how I feel, how I'm living, judging by these other categories and pillars as well, man, I got to give it a 10. And I didn't think I'd give anything a 10, but I truly, when I think of fulfillment, of am I fulfilled by jumping on podcasts like this one? Am I fulfilled with the time spent with my wife, with family, with learning new things, with traveling, with exercising, with my mindset? I'm a coach at Seven Figure Agency. Like those meetings, do I feel fulfilled? Do I feel excited with, man, every cup of coffee in the morning, everything about it? So much of that stems from my faith, I know, because I know how blessed I and we truly are. But man, I gotta say, the joy, the fulfillment, the excitement I have every day attributes to so many people, so many things, so many situations, but also, God made all of this happen as well. But I feel very, very present. I think that's a big thing as well. When I think of, am I fulfilled? I feel very engaged in conversations with people. I feel excited to ask questions to other people, even though you've been great at asking me questions. And if we had another 2 hours, I could shoot them right back to you. But I think looking at all of those facets and bringing them all together of, do I feel fulfilled in this life? Do I feel fulfilled today, yesterday, tomorrow? Am I excited? Absolutely. And I think that is one of the great joys in my life, but I'd say just life in general is, and it probably sounds cliche, you hear it all the time, but it's a version of it, of just finding what you love to do and do that every day. And that comes in a lot of different forms. And it's not always just a job or work or career or business. It's many other things. And I feel like I've really found my peak zone, but I want to keep getting better, keep serving more, keep getting stronger in my faith. But when I think of what I do every day and do I feel fulfilled and do I enjoy it, it's like, man, absolutely. I feel like I can just be rocket fuel onto the things that I'm doing in a good way, not to burn it down, but to catapult whatever I'm doing that day, and not to give myself the credit at all. I want to be clear on that, but just my mindset in whatever I'm doing that day, today, tomorrow, and yesterday, I feel like I am present and giving it my all, and really, really truthfully believe in what I'm doing and what we're doing, even in this podcast today. So 10.0.
Nice, bro. The thing is that as I evaluate you from afar, right? Everything that you mentioned and in everything that you do, you're a giver. You give. And the Bible says it's better to give than to receive. Mm-hmm. And everything, in the coaching, when you spend the time with your wife, you obviously you take, but you seem to be more fulfilled when you give, because you give to your wife, you serve your wife, you serve your business, you serve your community, you serve the people around you, and when you do that, Luke, automatically, that's why you are a 10.0, because you are a giver and you serve people at a high capacity. And I thank you because you served me today. You served the people who are going to be listening today, because look at you, man. You were ready. You knew what we were going to talk about. You're here. You're engaged, and you're giving. I can feel how much you're here. You're present. I don't see you thinking about something else. Yeah. So Luke is here with me. Like you're saying, you like to be present, and I appreciate that, bro. What can I say, bro? Let me tell you something. Usually what I do is next year, I invite you again on the podcast, next year around the same time, Because look, one of the things that obviously we want to improve. And so I'm going to ask you all these questions again. Hey, look, so where are you in this? You know, before you used to be an 8.8. Have you crossed over to a 9 or even a 10? How are you doing with your, have you elevated even that 10? Have you elevated that 10 at an even higher? Like, is it possible? Yeah, I didn't know it was possible, Gabriel, but yeah I got you. And so next year, and that's why, you know, I'm going to put that on you. So like, listen, Luke, next year, the ProActivators Podcast.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Part 2. Where
ready,
is Luke now?
I would be honored to be on again, and just to have that accountability as well, to push each other to keep these pillars rising and to keep this going. And yeah, man, it's just been an absolute blast to be here today. And I know the time flies by as well.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, that's all for today. Thank you for your time. And I'm going to share this through all the major podcast platforms. I'm going to take some shorts from this because they're going to be around, brother, you know. And hopefully some of them are going to be viral because they are viral. A lot of people need to hear this stuff from you, bro. All right. So, is there any last thought? Where can people find you? What is your message to anybody out there who might be listening?
Man, well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. If anyone's made it this far in the episode, hour and 45 minutes in, hour and a half, thank you for listening. This is truly what I love to do. Gabriel, I know this is what you love to do, is just do our best to have a good time, but also to try and give something. And so it's been just a blast to be here with all of you guys. I feel like we're all in a room together. If any of you would want to reach out, please shoot me a follow or shoot me a message. Luke Eggebraaten on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Also Phaser Marketing, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. If you want to shoot me a text, my personal number is 218-234-7345. I mean, I just would love to hear from anyone, whether you're going through something, whether you want to talk business, whether you listen to the episode, you just want to let us know, anything. And yeah, it's just such an honor to be here. So fun diving in. And man, I'm excited for next year to see how we do.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This is Gabriel, the ProActivator, and I will see you guys next time. Nice, bro. All right.